Today I'm talking about the elusive book of political lists, why it became elusive a few years back during the election between Hillary Clinton and President Trump and thereafter. Now, I was looking for this book after some things started to be said about it, and specifically because at some point during that election, people started talking about JFK Jr. and whether that his plane crash was an accident, whether there was someone behind it, specifically the Clintons, because he was thinking about, or people thought he was going to run for senator of New York. And Hillary Clinton, of course, announced it and became the senator eventually. And then somehow this book came up. And I mean, there really was a craze there for a while. There was during the Trump campaign, at that time, there was actually someone that was coming around. We know his name now was Vincent Fusco. And he actually kind of looked like JFK Jr., how he would look had he lived. And he kind of looked like he was in disguise. I mean, he seemed like actually kind of a nice looking guy. But he had this kind of outfit that he would wear with this particular suit and bowler hat, and he was always had like he hadn't shaved, and but also looked sophisticated at the same time. It was kind of weird. But he was a huge Trump supporter, and he would go to all the rallies. I think he was originally from Pennsylvania or Philadelphia or something. He had a van that was all decked out in Trump gear, and so at that time, there really wasn't any censorship. It really started after the WikiLeaks, the DNC emails that came out, the DNC leaks of their servers, and then the Hillary Clinton emails, the Podesta emails, and at that time, like I said, there were a lot of blogs like 4chan that became 8chan and Reddit. And what people would do was they would post something on there about some specific thing they had either found out or wanted to look into. And then people would just start investigating it online. So they would go through, however they went through online documents or books, and then they would post things, and, they would come to certain conclusions. And yeah, there were a lot of conspiracy theories that didn't turn out to be true, but there were a lot that did. And when this JFK Jr. thing came out, people started researching that guy that was coming to the rallies, how he looked like JFK Jr., and actually they found his wife. I think she was a teacher or something, and how she looked like Caroline and their children. And then at that time, there was also a lot of disinformation and a lot of bloggers and YouTubers coming out that they all had inside information. They were formerly in the military or with the CIA or FBI or something, and they had secret intelligence, and there was things coming out like that. And actually, a few of them kind of intimated that they were JFK Jr. And some actually, people started thinking they were. There were others that they just came to their own conclusion. And some of those guys are still around. I think one guy was coming out as, I think his name he used was Juan O'Savin, but that's not his real name, and people have since then found out who he is. So that's why suddenly I looked for it, because I kind of heard about it, and people were saying, oh, he wrote about it in the Book of Lists or things like that. So I kind of looked up, what is this Book of Lists? And I did find it on Amazon. I think at that time it was really expensive, like over $500. And then it wasn't even available. Most places that would show it on the internet, like you could buy it here, you could buy it there, when you actually followed the link, it wasn't available. And I would forget about it. But just really out of curiosity. And eventually, I was just thinking about it a while back, and I was able to find it online. And went through it. So I think you can actually find the PDF of the book now online. I think it's on Scrib, but just to let you know, I think it is an interesting book. If you like politics. It was, it was published in 1998, and the lists actually go from George Washington to mid-Bill Clinton. And I'll tell you, there is a lot of interesting history in here. There's some humor. I don't see any things in the list that would have pissed off somebody that they would want to have somebody killed or anything like that. There was a few little Clinton digs. Specifically, there's a list of offices that Bill Clinton campaigned for and didn't win. And it's really when he was younger. I think it's something to do with the Boy Scouts and grade school and then maybe college. And then I think governor for Arkansas the first time or something. So that seemed kind of weird. He also put Clinton in the overweight category of presidents. There was like obese, overweight, normal weight, underweight. He also listed under political scandals, the Monica Lewinsky and the other one that he was having an affair with, and Paula Jones had accused him of this and that. And it's interesting because at that time, he hadn't come out and admitted to Monica Lewinsky or the Jennifer Flowers or the Paula Jones. He hadn't been sued or anything yet. So that part was kind of interesting. But there were other presidents that had scandals and affairs and things like that. So I wouldn't consider that. But the only thing I could say is maybe, how politicians kind of stick together. And if he was truly a Democrat, some Democrats may have thought, oh, he shouldn't have said that. But really, other than that, I find a lot of the other lists just really, really interesting. So I think if you're just interested in that, it's worth reading or buying. There's an introduction by JFK Jr., and then the topics are presidential, first family, vice president, cabinet members. Some of them are a little boring. Miscellaneous, congressional, Supreme Court, campaign, third party, state and local, the good, bad, and the impeachable, pop politics, strange bedfellows, and there is some good political satire, so some good humor in there for lists. And then there was a number of Democrats, beginning with Thomas Jefferson, and then not until 1841, William Henry Harrison. He was a Whig, W-H-I-G, and then Tyler was a Whig, another Democrat, two Whigs, two Democrats. The first Republican was Abraham Lincoln in 1865. Members of the original 13 colonies who rejected British rule. They organized patriot militias, giving rise to the American Revolution and the creation of the Declaration of Independence by the Second Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia, that resulted in the American Revolutionary War under the command, of course, of George Washington. Now, the Patriots were inspired by the political philosophy of republicanism, advocated by Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Thomas Paine. So I find it ironic that patriots are now almost considered terrorists by some. Very unusual. And I think people need to know what the names of these original parties, what they stood for, and why some eventually disappeared, and now we have just two parties. We had a Green Party that was pretty popular for a while, but the Independent Party has become, whoever wants to run in the Independent Party, they don't allow them to debate with the other candidates in the other parties, and so it's really working against anyone that tries to run in any party except Republican or Democrat. I think it has to be changed, but I don't know how that change will come about. In our country, in the U.S., if you're looking for some great trivia, It's also very good. But if you're looking for some kind of conspiracy that it will feed into specific conspiracy about JFK Jr. himself, the Clintons, or anybody else, I don't think you will find that in here. And like I said, if you look around, you can probably find this on PDF online, so you don't have to actually purchase the book. It is out of print, so I think even though the prices have come down, I think it's still pretty expensive. So I hope that helps and gives you a little insight into the book without having to buy it. Thank you, and ciao.